Hi, welcome to another Tropo Customer Spotlight. We have Matt Warner and Jeff Geerling of flockNote with us today. Hey, guys.
Hey, how's it going, Chris?
Hey, very good. Thank you for coming on the show with us today, and thank you so much for being a valued Tropo customer and partner.
Oh, sure. Thank you so much for inviting us and having us. I've been checking out some of the other spotlights you guys have been doing. It's really cool seeing what a lot of the other customers and clients are doing with Tropo.
Well, you're definitely in good company because half the Fortune 100 customers use Voxeo's technology, which Tropo is a part of. So why don't let me turn it over to you, Matt, to start off with. Tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get Jeff's background, and then we'll jump right in and learn more about flockNote.
Sure. Yeah, I'm from Texas. I'm a computer engineer by degree, and gradually started getting into tinkering around with different web interfaces and some of the web technologies. And my particular passion was with the Catholic Church and my involvement there. And eventually, as I was more and more involved with trying to help the church do things better, realized there was a real lack of utilization of newer communication technologies, and saw some opportunities to try to apply those and do something fun and unique. And so that's where we started up and started up flockNote, and that's what we're doing now.
Cool. So, Jeff?
I'm from St. Louis up in the Midwest, not too far from here, but far enough that it's cold this time of year. I got started in computing when I was a little kid, and my dad brought home computer parts, put that together, so I was kind of a hardware hacker. But over time, I started doing a lot of web development, and I was studying to become a priest at one point, but then I decided that wasn't my life, and so I was working for the church a little bit and doing a lot of programming, mostly in web development and mobile applications. And Matt and I met a few years ago, and we're talking about some of the new communications tools and things. And I jumped on board with flockNote this past year, and we've been hard at work making pretty much the premier communications tool, not only for the church, but I think it's really a good example for anyone to use these technologies, texting and email and all this, in the most effective way.
Well, I mean, you guys have definitely been busy because if you go to flocknote.com and you look at the services you guys are offering, I mean, it seems like you hit a sweet spot for every Catholic church, or I guess church in general, offerings for getting the word out, the message out, people subscribing to various newsletters, SMS messages, voice. Why don't you tell us a little bit more what flockNote does?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, one of the challenges for a lot of churches is they know they need to communicate better. They know that there's all these amazing tools out there, but they either aren't comfortable themselves, or they're hesitant for different reasons, so they need a little help getting started, or they're just overwhelmed by the number of choices and the different tools out there, and lots of them very powerful, but not exactly tuned for what their application would necessarily be. And so what we tried to do with flockNote was bring a lot of different aspects of different things into one tool. So rather than using like a full email marketing tool, which most churches don't really need, we pull the features from an email marketing tool and just allow it to do that. So you can do all your bulk emailing and send out professional looking newsletters, track emails, track members, all that kind of stuff. We take simple bulk text messaging service, which is what we leverage Tropo to do. We do phone tree stuff, which we also use Tropo for. We do a basic sort of registration member management tool, because one of the other things is they have all these services, parishes and churches are creating websites and utilizing different social media and tools, but they can't get people to it, or they're not making those connections. And so another thing we use Tropo for also, but is allowing texting to sort of start that registration, that initiation process of getting members plugged in initially and then getting them involved in everything you have going on. So how do you kind of get the registration process going? So we have a basic registration tool where you can capture custom information from your members, but then immediately connect that with all of your communication tools. And so you don't have one database for your members. You have a separate tool that you use for emailing and a separate thing for texting and phone calling. But how do we pull all of that stuff into one tool that is easy for someone who's not necessarily very tech savvy to use, and only pulls in the features that they really need, not trying to do more than what they really need. And so we try to focus on having the right features, not as many features as we can, but just the right ones.
Well, and you're covering certainly all the medias that I can think of. I mean, from voice, Twitter, Facebook, SMS, email, I think even RSS feeds. I mean, you're like pulling all this data in to centralize it so that you can communicate on the preferred channel that looks like a parishioner would be asking for.
Right, and what's great is that you give the parishioner the ability to choose how they want to receive the information, but then on the sender side, on the administration side for a church, they don't have to necessarily know what an RSS feed is. They don't have to necessarily know how to send a text message. They may not even have a cell phone, but yet they can post information on one place, on flockNote, and it will send that out to across all those different mediums. And of course, you're reaching parishioners the way that they want to receive information and in the places where they're already communicating. And so that's kind of another distinction is we have kind of a social network aspect to us in that people can reply back. You can send private messages to each other if you need to do that. But that's not really our focus. Our focus is not to create your own sort of private social network. Our focus is to push information out to people where they're already communicating, which is key to engaging some of the unengaged people that are involved in an organization or a church.
Well, I think it even helps spread the word even further, because if you can reach someone with your messages via Facebook, they can like it. It spreads, or kind of organically to all of their friends and family as well, which is, ultimately what the churches want too. How can they engage more people?
Right. And another thing too is they want a way to kind of make sense out of all of it. And of course, if you're trying to, pitch this to a pastor or some superior, that you've got to kind of convince that you're just not sort of going out to the wild, wild west, which is how they kind of view the internet these days. And it still is to some extent. How do you show them, well, this is what we're doing and this is where we're impacting, how we're communicating. And so flockNote gives you kind of a centralized place to document everything that gets sent out. There's an archive of it there for any member of a list to see anything that's been sent out in the past. And there's also a hierarchy to the different lists or ministries within an organization or a parish, so that there's some level of coherency between the different groups, but also some sort of oversight as well to what's being sent out and how it's being used.
Well, I'm a member of the Knights of Columbus, and we have a very similar problem that we could definitely use your service. So, I mean, we've got hundreds of knights in our chapter, and we always have a difficult time communicating, like letting people know that there's a pancake breakfast, fundraiser, or, whatever we're doing for the weekend. Very active group to be able to place voice calls or SMS calls to every night to, either remind them or get them engaged, to come back and reply if they're available. I think that's a very good use, I think, of the technology that you're bringing to the table.
Absolutely, and that's definitely one of the things that flockNote tries to do that's, I think, a little unique also, is that anytime you try to implement a new communication system, especially in churches, but in general anyways, you're going to have a certain percentage of people that just don't get it or don't understand it or just won't go sign up or do whatever you're asking them to do. And so flockNote allows admins to, push information out to those people still, even though, they may never go to flocknote.com, they may never sign up for something, they may never text in and register or subscribe or anything like that. But you're able to, as an administrator, if you've gathered their email address legally, of course, input that in the system and send them things. If you've gotten their phone number, you can have it make them a phone call, which is great for churches because there's always that percentage of people that don't have emails or don't text message, which are two mostly used direct methods of communication right now, even with all social media and everything. But they can't be reached by those, so they're stuck sort of, well, we use, flockNote to communicate with everybody, but then we still have to call these people that aren't able to use it. But that's where we added in, which was great with Tropo, is having the voice call capability. Now people can just add in a phone number and it'll actually call them up, and the text to speech reads them the information, And so those few people that would have otherwise been left out of using some fancy new communication tool are still getting the information. And from an administration standpoint, you're still only having to post information in one place, and it's getting sent out. The same message is getting sent out to everybody.
That's awesome. And you guys are also using one of Tropo's SMS shortcodes, correct?
Yep.
What is that shortcode number?
84576.
That's an awesome number, man.
It's a good one.
Yeah, it's a great one.
Yeah, we were very lucky to get that one because it was just a random one. It's a good one. It's luckily I can remember it here. So
yeah. So Jeff, quick questions for you. The site's beautiful, by the way. I think it's really well organized. It's very responsive. I like the whole cloud aspects of your service, as SaaS offering. How much work was it for you guys to integrate SMS and voice using the Tropo API?
Well, one of the reasons we chose Tropo over a few other things we were looking at was the API for it is very well documented, really simple and easy to integrate. We use PHP. We actually built our site on top of Drupal, which is a PHP framework. But Tropo has examples for PHP and several other languages. And it's really well documented. One thing that I hate about some of the services we've used in the past, and I still use today, you go to their API pages to look at how to integrate that service with your site, and it's like some of the things don't even work. Some of the stuff isn't documented, and you end up searching Google to try to find out how to do something that's really simple. One of the things I really like about Tropo is online there's great documentation. Everything has examples and things, and the support has been really good. Like whenever we have a little question about something, we'll get a response very quickly. And the Tropo forums have been helpful too. There's a lot of great information there, and especially for PHP. I mean, it's a very widely used language on the web, and Tropo has first-class support for that.
Thank you very much. I will certainly pass that along to the team. Voxeo has a philosophy around extreme support, so I think a lot of that just kind of filters down into what the Voxeo Labs team is doing with Tropo. So I'm glad to hear that we're meeting the goals there. So did you guys? So you're using PHP? Are you using the scripting API or the web API?
We're using the scripting API. So we basically did all of the right. It's that's one that we basically do the application side and we send the requests over the internet from our server to theirs. And so it allows us to have very fine-grained control over what happens on our end, and we have to because sometimes we're dealing with hundreds or thousands of messages at a time. There are times when a parish will have a registration and there's a lot of traffic going on. And we do a lot of stuff when that happens, when we get in text messages and we send messages back, and when somebody has a campaign and they send out something and there's tons of email, text, and all that stuff. So we track all that stuff on our end, and then Tropo also sends us back good information on how we can make sure that those messages made it to their destination. And there's always very detailed logs that I like to browse through sometimes.
Very cool. Yeah, those are pretty detailed, man. You'd have to be really bored to go through those. All right. So when you were Jeff, when you were using the SMS shortcode, getting ready for that, did you do all of your development on the like a 10-digit SMS number and then transition to shortcode? How did that work for you?
Yeah, I liked that ability. I should just sign up really quick for that 10-digit number. And Matt and I and some of the rest of the people we know and some of the family and friends, we could test on it and get everything working, get all the code working. It was really helpful. That was another thing that was nice about Tropo that let us kind of get on our feet quickly with the text to register, because I could do all my programming without having to pay the huge price for a couple months just to get the shortcode to work on that. And we still actually have that 10-digit number to do more testing and as a backup, if we need it.
Yeah, that ordering process for shortcode is quite a long time. It's all the whole carriers. We have to go through and work with all the carriers on your behalf, and I'm glad that transition is that simple. Once the shortcode comes in, we attach it to your app, and it shouldn't require any programming changes.
Yeah, there was nothing we needed to do once we switched to the shortcode. It was so helpful to be able to just immediately have it working.
Well, that's awesome. Well, Matt, I wanted to talk to you. I'm looking at your site. You've got, we were talking earlier about all the help, that Tropo offers, examples and stuff. flockNote does, even more of that. I mean, your blogs are fantastic. Your videos are fantastic. How many people do you have generating the type of content you guys have?
Oh, it's just us.
You guys are busy.
Yeah, we are. We're very busy, but growing. So we hope to add to that in the near future. So we're looking for different growth opportunities right now, and some different routes to doing that, raising capital, and whatever we need to do to kind of grow faster. Because we're growing at a good rate right now, but we could definitely grow faster with the right resources. So that's something we're looking for right now, in ways we can do that. But in the meantime, we're just kind of bootstrapping it and getting it done. But it's good because we really learn a lot, and we love, Jeff and I we have another guy that helps do support stuff as well and sales stuff. But, we're all very involved with the day-to-day working with the customers and helping people. And that's so key to helping us continue to mold the product and the service into what it needs to be. And so it's invaluable, having that daily interaction and being able to just be so in touch with our customers all the time.
Well, it's really cool. You guys have done a fantastic job on the website. It's really fast. The features are so rich. I mean, it's amazing what you have to offer. So hopefully that'll help you with the funding. They certainly don't need to fund the technology. I mean, you guys are already there on the tech. I love what you've done.
Oh, well, thank you. And we think there's a lot more potential too, especially with some of the other things Tropo offers. But particularly even just with texting, the amount of information. And what's really neat with the application within churches, I think, with texting is it's still, it's early adopter phase right now. But, one of the things that we use, a lot of people that use us are campus ministries. And it's because they have a lot of college students. And, one of the trouble, they have a high turnover. Every semester they have new people in, new people out. And so how do you get information from them? Who are you that are coming here? And then how do you get them plugged into things? And so, the traditional process for most organizations and churches is, fill out this paper form and come by the office and hand it in and we'll talk to you, that kind of thing. And people just don't take the time to do that anymore. And so, what you can do with our service now is something like what we call text to register, which is basically, at the end of Mass, after your big meeting or whatever you're doing, you say, hey, everyone, pull out your cell phones, text in this keyword to our 5-digit shortcode, and immediately you've captured their phone number and they're subscribed via text message to a particular list. And then it asks them if they'd like to reply back with their email address. And so they can reply back with their email address via text. Then, so that captures their email address for you, puts that on a list. It sends them a confirmation link. They click that, and then it asks them to fill out your rest of your registration for your church or network, whatever you're doing. And then from there, as soon as you submit that, it gives you all your different activities, your different distribution lists that you've created, and immediately allows them to subscribe and plug into those things. So it takes it in sort of more natural steps of, I give you a little bit of my information, you give me a little bit, and you kind of take baby steps and you walk them in a more natural process that's very convenient and very easy for them to get plugged into what you're doing and then get plugged into all of the things you have going on as an organization.
I think that's what this generation, college students, et cetera, expect and demand. So you're really allowing churches and organizations to really leapfrog today's technology to get right at the heart, I think, of what's the expectations out in the field.
Right. And then, of course, as more and more people are using texting and smartphones and apps and all these things, it just opens up all these other possibilities of how we can interact with our members. How do we build those relationships? Everything it means to have that social network and really build that social network applies directly to a church, and what they're trying to do with building relationships. It is a social network. It's just extending it across all these other means of communication. And so I think there's going to be a lot of neat things when you have everybody sitting out there that and knows how to use it. Of course, that's part of the challenge now. Is a lot of people have phones, they're not comfortable using texting yet or some of that stuff. So, we're just imagining all the potential and possibilities whenever everyone uses it. It's no big deal. Now, all these things we can do to communicate, connect with you, get information from you, get information to you, all those kinds of things is we're really excited about where we can take it to do all of that.
Absolutely. I mean, we look at you as really being a trailblazer, innovating, on top of the technologies that we keep bringing down the pipe. So hats off to what you guys have done. I noticed you have a free trial on your site. So I'm curious, how can people, churches get signed up and started using your service?
Sure, yeah, it's real easy. You just go to flockNote.com, and there's a link on the front page to create a network. And within there, we do have a 30-day free trial that anyone can try, no obligation, cancel anytime. And you can try it out, and you can see what you think. And then, of course, we're there at support, and you can contact us if you have any questions. We're happy to help you, walk you through it, explain anything to you.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot, you guys, for spending the time with us today, educating us about your business and your technology. I think you're doing an amazing job, and I think you're allowing churches to really leapfrog where they were at yesterday, right into more modern times and connect with more people and spread the word. So you're doing a great job. Love your technology, love your site, love your service. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you guys for the service as well. That's what makes it possible, and so it's a pleasure working with you guys, and thanks for having us on.
Cool. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.